Well, the next speaker is Aidan Doyle from Aidan Doyle Routers. He will be our guest speaker and deliver the next topic.
Thank you. I wasn't sure that I would be up here, but I'm up here, so I'm going to try to deliver this presentation as best I can. As you may have heard from my colleague, I'm Aidan Doyle. I'm President and CEO of Bellwether Capital Management, which is a US-based financial institution. I'm also media active, both with Reuters, Bloomberg, and several other large agencies. As I mentioned, I wasn't given much notice, but I'm going to do the best I can in reading this presentation and hopefully do as good a job as my colleague to my right. So I will say before we get started that I'm a big advocate, fortunately, of the Sino-American cultural exchanges that have taken place recently. For example, one of the major deals I'm working on right now is Alibaba, which I'll talk to later, but for the time being I want to just concentrate on the script in front of me, which I'll get started on right away. So we've heard from my colleague the expression the Chinese dream and the American dream, but in fairness they're both the same dream, and that is they're the world dream. East or West, I think we can all agree that people want the same things. China and the United States, as the world's largest developing countries, will produce disaster for the world if they follow history or the previous historic path. Now, in fact, the American dream, which includes, ironically, equality of opportunity and respect for personal struggle, and the Chinese dream, which includes everyone involved in pursuit of co-created better life towards a world dream of peaceful coexistence and shared prosperity. I'm going to leave the script alone for a second and make reference to the fact that I was here very early this morning for the author's breakfast, which included some references to Martin Luther King and a book that was written by Tavis Smiley, which made reference to another great dreamer. So we all want, people both East and West are looking for the same things. Okay. Getting back to the script, it is inevitable that the occurrence of the new problem and the original problems proceed with the further development of bilateral relationships. Bilateral meaning in both directions, obviously. Yet these issues should be a driving force to build new relations of great power between China and the United States rather than obstacles or setbacks. Now, construction of a power relation between China and the States is not only of importance, guarantee for the orderly development of China, but also an important guarantee toward realizing the Chinese dream. The realization of the American dream, on the other hand, requires an equal mutual trust, tolerance, and mutual learning, cooperation, and a win-win relations between the two major powers. Now, to quote someone very near and dear to me, the former US Secretary of State Hillary Clinton, in a speech in 2012, stated that a prosperous China is good for the States, and a thriving US States is also beneficial for China. So what we have here is, let's say, synergy to say the least, but a codependence to say the best. Also in multilateral institutions, global financial systems, which I'm very familiar with, nuclear future, network security, and climate change, and many other international affairs. Now, Sino-US relations will be the key to prosperity. Thus, the healthy development of Sino-US relations will not only help our two countries themselves, but also promote world peace, stability, and prosperity. So I'll try to wrap this up as soon as best I can. China and the United States have common goals, simple as that, regarding major regional global affairs, so it's normal that there are divergent views on some matters. Now, the essence of the new power relations is neither attachment nor the relation of primary and secondary or even adversarial roles. Excuse me? Prop failure. Hang on a second. All right, so moving ahead, the basic premise, however, is to respect the core interests of the other as well as their major concerns, as in any healthy relationship. In the event of the occurrence of different viewpoints or different interests, therefore, in Sino-US states expression, the two sides should be frank and active in their communication, including shelving differences towards understanding and waiting for historical processes to be resolved. Now, China hopes that the United States can treat China with a comprehensive attitude and point of view. China also hopes the United States can understand that China has a strong willingness to assume international obligations and practical action, and hopes also the US can understand that China has a limited ability to assist in international responsibilities. China is a rapidly developing nation, creating an extraordinary achievement, but they, however, are faced with the burden of taking more than 100 million people out of poverty, as well as the burden of pressure placed on China to fulfill the expectations of greater international responsibilities from the international community. China is now the world's second largest economic entity, but it can only explain the increased amount of China for a developing country which has a homeland of 9.6 million square kilometers and a population of 1.3 billion. Such as results are hard-earned but not perfect. Moving on, China has faced uneven regional development, locally, economic structure imperfections, unsustainable development approaches, and many other issues which have determined that China must change its ideas, update its concept, pay more attention to improving quality as well as increasing quantity, and making it a more important standard to measure the Chinese modern road of success. China hopes that the United States can not only see the history of China, but also the reality of China. Historically, China was a large country with splendid achievements, which have also suffered untold miseries. It is clear that the China dream and the American dream will influence each other, despite there being many differences. When taking with the President, has stated that the China dream and the American dream are the same. From a practical point of view, the China dream and the American dream influence each other. Yet as time goes on, the China dream more and more influences the American dream. America has a powerful voice on the basis of cultural creation, which has affected the public opinion trends of the world. In addition, the value and evaluation system of the world are dominated by the United States, so they have a privilege to interpret. Thus, our dream is difficult to remain unaffected by applying the thought frameworks of others to evaluate issues. In addition, the rise of China has had a greater influence on the United States and the world if there had been no accidents, and this is not only reflected in the economic field, but also culturally and on other values. We should utilize a new value to deal with the relations between the China dream and the American dream, since the interaction is inevitable. The President has stressed that we should abandon the Cold War mentality and zero-sum game. At the same time, we are looking for the ultimate pursuit of mankind with tolerance and transpositional thinking. Thus, the achievement of this objective, the China dream, will be transcended and will be raised to a higher level to break through into the evolution of human civilization. In fact, many of the core values are common human crystallization of civilization. Now, due to the difference among nations and stages of development, however, they have different attitudes and standards, but the direction is consistent, and in the end, they will come together. We therefore believe that the China dream and the American dream are beneficial to humanity, and they are always progressing and developing. Therefore, let us, in the name of a community destiny, explore and create a common human dream. Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir. Very impressive understanding of the Chinese dream and American dream. And if China has more friends and they all have the understanding of Aidan, I think the bilateral relationship for the two countries will be prosperous and really promising. Okay, next, to sum up today's discussion.